for the sun.
No mango.
Hello, movie lovers. Welcome to Motion Picture Recaps. Today, I will show you a 1989 film called Blood Fist. Grab your hot noodles and cold beer and enjoy the picture. In Manila City, Philippines, two men are fighting in an arena watched by an excited audience. Computers show that the fight is also gambling. People bet on their chosen fighters to win extra cash. Mike Ray, our handsome, hot, and hairy hunk, appears to be losing and taking a beating. After a few humiliating blows, annoyance settles onto his face and mumbles to himself to hell with the deal. He gets up and starts fighting without holding back, ultimately winning the match. His opponent, face bloody, suffers the consequence of a real fight and falls to the ground, convulsing before his untimely death. Mike celebrates his win with a drink on his way home. In the dark alleyway, a mysterious man wearing red suddenly attacked him. Mike tells his attacker to save it for the arena instead, but the latter does not listen and beats him down. A scavenger scampers to Mike's body, steals his money and blue cap before leaving him in the dark. At Hal and Jake's self-defense gym in California, United States, co-owners Hal and Jake Ray are seen preparing for that day's work. A group of young boys are present at the gym, watching Jake demonstrate his boxing skill. Afterwards, the kids ask Jake if he was truly a champion in kickboxing. Showing them a scar on his body, Jake tells them his half-brother Mike got into a motorcycle accident in the past requiring a kidney transplant to save his life. The scar is a remembrance of Jake's love for his brother. He couldn't fight with one kidney as he gave one of his to Mike. Then, Jake receives an overseas phone call telling him of his brother's death. He needs to fly to Manila to claim the body. On his first day in Manila's Chinatown, a group of thieves snatch Jake's bag in broad daylight. Jake chases after them. When the thugs think they have him cornered, Jake gives them a surprise they didn't think they need. After getting his bag back from the thieves, Jake finally at the police station. The chief shows him the urn with Mike's ashes, then the photographs of Mike's body when they found him with a broken neck and spine. The killer has not been found. Jake notices a red cloth in Mike's belongings and asks the chief about it, to no avail. The chief advises him to leave Manila or else they'll be in touch. Jake leaves and lets go of his late brother's ashes to the sea, vowing to avenge his death and find his murderer. Jake goes to the place where Mike's body was found. As he looks around, he sees two guys wearing the same color as the red clothing in his brother's belongings. He secretly follows the two guys to their headquarters, what appears to be a martial arts academy. He peeps through a hole on the gate, but the guards don't allow him to go further. Curious, Jake hides his bag under a pile of leaves and sneaks to the back of the academy. He climbs on the high wall and traverses it, ultimately spotting a group of men training outdoors. One of the men, a Scarface brute, appears to be more vicious than the rest. As Jake watches them, guards spot him and try to attack him. Jake defeats them and the two guys fall from the wall, much to the trainees' applause and annoyance of the Scarface brute. More guards come after him, so Jake escapes, jumping on top of a moving jeepney before returning to where he left his bag only to find it missing. He walks over to a nearby man sketching and asks if he noticed his bag. The man shows Jake a drawing of a frog and compliments his fighting skill. The man, named Kwang, takes Jake to a pub and gives his bag back to him, saying he hid it before someone stole it. In the pub with them are fighters from Tachang Academy, the one Jake visited earlier. Manila is for gambling, according to Kwang. And the fighters enter a championship where people can bet money on who will win. One of the gambling guys from a nearby table walks over to Jake and intimidates him. Then he whispers to Jake to play along and they fake to fight so the guy can steal the money on the table, since he was already losing their game. The guy, named Baby, gives Jake half of the money he took and invites him to his house and promises him dinner. In the house, Jake finds a note and follows its instruction. He goes to the rooftop and finds a blonde lady practicing dancing. She sees him staring and accuses Jake of getting Baby drunk. Jake denies this and they both return downstairs. Baby introduces the lady as his sister Nancy to Jake. She suggests Jake to leave, but he declines, telling her Baby owes him dinner. Nancy takes Jake to the seaside for some hot noodles. She tells him she used to be translator in Hong Kong and brought her brother there with her. She then lost her job and they moved to Manila. She asks Jake why he's there in Manila, but he doesn't tell her. Jake then meets up with Kwang, learning the latter used to mentor his late brother Mike. Jake shows the red cloth to Kwang, sharing he went to Manila to find his brother's killer. The only way to find the killer, according to Kwang, is for Jake to join the Tachang Academy, train, and participate in the tournament. Jake refuses as he gave up fighting a long time ago. Kwang tries to persuade him as long as he gets 20% of the winnings. Jake refuses again, but upon seeing the red GI Mike wore in the academy, memories flash back, changing his mind. The following day, Kwang takes Jake to the Tachang Academy and introduces to him some of the well-known fighters, including the Scarface Brute who, according to Kwang, kills his opponents as a reflection of his troubled youth. Baby is there too, training. Kwang remarks that Jake may have to fight his new friend in the future. Since the academy's gym is full, Kwang decides to take Jake to the best gym in the world instead. Nature. In exchange, he gets a mango for a prize. Back at Baby's house, Nancy teaches Jake how to stretch and relax his leg muscles before stealing a kiss from him. She then confesses to Jake her doubts on Kwang. As they were talking outside, Jake spots an old man wearing a blue cap similar to his late brother's. He goes after the old man, who refuses to give the cap to him. Jake tries to squeeze answers to his questions from the old man, but even with Nancy helping with the translation, the only answer he gets is the mention of a snake. Jake asks Kwang if he knows who the snake is in the academy, but he gets no answer. He then expresses his doubt that Kwang is delaying him from finding his brother's killer. Kwang ignores him again and tells him he needs a sparring partner. They go to the rooftop where Kwang makes Baby spar with Jake. But Baby doesn't take the activity seriously until Kwang makes up a lie that Jake is tired after having too much sex with Nancy. This riles up Baby. The two start sparring seriously until Baby loses. Finally, it's time for Jake's first match. At Tachang Academy, Kwang reminds Jake the killer will not reveal itself, so he better watch out. Baby gets called for the match. Then, a boy shows Jake a secret spot where he can watch the fight. After Baby's victory, Jake is called to his first match against the German Raton. The German puts up a fight, but Jake eventually wins. Kwang gives Jake his first winning, $1,000, and reminds him to be patient about his brother's killer. Back at their house, Jake visits Nancy at the rooftop. He gives her a picture of Mike so she could ask around for info on him. After their conversation, their attraction to each other can no longer be contained. As they consume their desires, Baby takes his new romantic interest Angela to the rooftop to make out with her. The second set of matches comes. Black Rose wins. Nancy asks around the audience about Mike. Chin-Woo, the Scarface Brute, eats a cockroach. Both Baby and Jake win their fight as well. Hal arrives in Manila in the hopes of avoiding the IRS, who was onto him. Nancy reveals to Jake the information she gathered on Mike. The snake, who was most likely Mike's killer, was apparently the front runner of last year's tournament. That would be Chin-Woo, who is the remaining champion. Nancy tells Jake Mike wasn't popular with the people when he was alive, doing anything for money whether he won or not. Eventually, Mike killed his opponent during his last match. At the graveyard, Jake learns Kwang used to have a brother in Tachang Academy, but he died. During Jake's third match, the one against Black Rose, he spots the old man wearing Mike's cap in the audience, causing him to lose concentration. He asks Kwang to go after him as he continues the fight and eventually beats Black Rose. After the match, Kwang tells Jake the old man is willing to spill the beans in exchange for some money. As the two goes to the old man's house, Hal notices something.
I know that guy.
The old man is dead when Jake and Kwang arrive at his home. The police suddenly arrives and Kwang urges Jake to flee. The fourth round of the tournament arrives. Chin Woo is matched against Baby. He defeats Jake's friend and leaves him in very bad condition. At the hospital where Baby is confined, Nancy urges Jake to not continue with the championship. But Jake is adamant. As he leaves the hospital, the police arrest him. In jail, Kwang pays him a visit and secretly hands him a key to escape and a mango with a secret of its own. On the day of his final match, Jake escapes from prison and eats the mango on his way to Tachang. Just before his fight, Kwang tells Jake that Chin Woo has a snake tattoo. Therefore, he killed Mike. Nancy pleads to Jake one last time to change his mind, to no avail. Unbeknownst to them, Baby dies in the hospital. Jake's battle with Chin Woo begins and he starts to become disoriented as the effect of the deadly mango secret seeps in. As Chin Woo beats Jake to humiliation, Hal, who was in the audience, notices something peculiar. He then yells to Jake that Kwang has bets on Chin Woo on that match, expecting Jake to lose. Without warning, Angela enters the arena with a gun, intending to kill Chin Woo and avenge Baby's death. Chin Woo kills her instead. In a strange feat of anger and willpower, Jake gathers more strength to defeat Chin Woo. After the match, Hal tells Jake he remembers who Kwang is. He was the Snake, a former martial artist in Thailand, who had a younger brother he promoted to matches even without earning it. Jake then goes outside to search for Kwang and finds him waiting for him in the rain. He confronts him about the truth. Kwang killed Mike as revenge for his brother, who Mike accidentally killed in his last match. Their agreement was that Mike would lose so his brother could win, but Mike didn't honor that. Jake and Kwang settle their score, a battle in honor of their deceased brothers. As irony would have it, they fight in the alleyway where Mike died. Jake is the victor.
I got you.
Jake walks away from the fight, the victor of his revenge. Nancy comes to him and together they leave. That concludes our recap for Bloodfist. As William Makepeace Thackeray said, revenge may be wicked, but it's natural.